Today's video is going to be a lot like yesterday's. We're just going to do the rest of these problems except for number 13. So we're not going to do number 13. We already did all the evens, so I'm going to show you the answers in just a second to all of the odds. So if you want to, again, try 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 on your own before watching the rest of this video. You can check your work in just a second, so I would pause the video now so you don't know the answers. Okay, so for these problems, again, I just want to reiterate the fact that you should be trying these on your own. That's how you really know what you know before the quiz tomorrow. Yeah, so they're also supposed to be, if you got something right, then you don't have to watch me explain it again if you already know how to do it. So hopefully number 1 was pretty simple. That is just the volume of a rectangular prism. The volume of a rectangular prism would just be the length times the width times the height. So if this was my length, this was my width, this was my height, I'm just going to take all of those numbers and multiply them together. So 18 times 3.5 times 15 to get a total volume of 945. And then now we are working with volume. So we're working with a 3D shape, so that's why it's inches cubed. In number 3, we have a square pyramid. So the volume for any type of pyramid is always going to be 1/3 times base area times the height. So my base is this square on the bottom. So my base is going to be 28 times 28, or 28 squared, which is 784. My height is actually going to be inside this pyramid that we don't actually know. If I were to draw a dotted line that goes all the way to the middle and then juts out to one of the sides of the base to make that right angle, I would have a right triangle within that pyramid. Halfway has to be 14 meters, and then the height is what we don't know, and then that horizontal line or that hypotenuse is that 22.1. And I'm pretty sure we already found the height in this pyramid yesterday. Actually, no, we didn't, because we don't need the height for surface area. So the fact that you have to draw this right triangle is really important. Knowing that you need to go halfway to get that perpendicular angle with the height is what's drawing that right triangle. And so then, since it's a right triangle, we have a missing side. We got to use Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to have x squared plus 14 squared equals 22.1 squared. Okay, and then I get x squared equals 292.41. Then I would take the square root of both sides to get x equals 17.1. There we ran out of space. So that x is my height. That's this dotted line I drew in the middle of the pyramid. Goodness, I can't talk tonight. So my height is 17.1. So now I have everything to plug in for my volume of 1/3 times 784 times 17.1. And that volume turns out to be 4,468.8, and then we're in meters cubed. For number 5, I have a cylinder. So the volume of a cylinder is going to be pi times radius squared times the height. Okay, so pi is just a constant. My radius is halfway from my center of my circular base to the edge. So I need to think of what's halfway of 16. That has to be 8, because 16 divided by 2 is 8. So my radius is 8. And then my height is the height between the two bases. So that height is this 13 centimeters. And so my volume is pi times 8 squared times my height of 13, which gives me a volume of 2,613.81 centimeters cubed. There we go. For number 7, we have a prism, specifically a triangular prism. So our volume formula is simply going to be the base area times the height. Now when I think about my base area, my base is this triangle, or also this triangle, whichever one you want to use. And so the area formula for a triangle is 1/2 the base side times the height. Okay, so when I look at this picture, we actually already found this missing side length here. That was in the last video when we were finding the surface area. So I'm just going to recall that that side length is 11.4. But again, if you forgot how to solve it, we just showed that it was a right triangle. One of the sides was 15.2. I didn't know what this side was, and then this side was 19 yards. So then we could figure out, using Pythagorean theorem, what this actual side was, and that was 11.4. So now just looking at this right triangle, if I were to find the area of just this right triangle, I would take the base, 11.4, times the height, 15.2, and then divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2. So my base is 1/2 times 11.4 times 15.2. Put parentheses. And so the base area actually is 86.64. And we already calculated that in number 8, but that's just a good review. But then the height is the height between the two bases. So my height would be this 16 yards right here. So all I have to do is take 16 times that 86.64, and that will give me my volume, which is 1,386.24 yards cubed. For number 9, 9 is a cone, so the cone's volume is similar to the pyramid in that it's 1/3 times, and then pi times r squared times the height. Okay, it's that same idea of a third mixed in there. So for my radius is again going to be half the diameter, so I'm going to take half of 17.6 to get a radius of 8.8. And then my height is the height of the cone, which is just already given to me here with that perpendicular line with the base. Okay, so my volume is 1/3 times pi times my radius of 8.8 squared times my height of 23.4. And so my volume is 1,897.62 inches cubed. 11 is a trapezoidal prism. So that is, again, when we're going to take the base area times the height. And with the base being a trapezoid, that means the base area is going to have to be 1/2 times that trapezoid's height times the bases added together. So base 1 plus base 2. Okay, so let's try to find the base area first. So if I look at, this is my trapezoidal base. Okay. This dotted line here is going to be the height of my trapezoid because it's forming that right angle. It's like the altitude of that trapezoid. So my height is 24.7. My bases are going to be the two sets of parallel lines, so 34 feet and then 10 feet, which is coming from this other side. Those should be congruent to each other. So my base is going to be 34 plus 10. And so my base area, that's what that uppercase B stands for, is 543.4. And then now I need to find my height. My height is going to be the distance between the two bases, or the height between the two bases. So here and here and here. Those should all be the same distance of 19 feet. So my height is just 19 feet. So the volume is going to be 543.4 times 19 to give me a volume of, this one's a big number, 10,324.6, and then we're in feet cubed. Okay, the next part of this video, I am going to just explain some things that I think might help for your quiz tomorrow, when exactly this quiz is going to happen, all that jazz. So I jotted down a few notes for your quiz tomorrow. So quiz tomorrow meaning Wednesday, so Wednesday the 6th. The quiz is going to open at 7:40 a.m. You need to make sure that you are turning it in by 3 p.m. So do not start it at 3 p.m. It needs to be turned in by 3 p.m. I'm pretty sure it will lock. I don't know exactly how Canvas does it, but I don't want you to run into that issue of, Miss Jackson, I got locked out of my quiz. Can you please reopen it? So just make sure you get it turned in by 3 p.m. That means if you started at 2:25, you would probably have enough time, but I would probably just do it during regular class time. But I know some of you are, you've had some issues in the past of getting it done during regular class time, so I wanted to make sure it was open all day in case we had any other events going on tomorrow. There is no time limit, so use that to your advantage. That means that you can take more time to ask me questions, ask for my help, ask for Mr. Delph's help. There is no time limit, okay? Know your formulas. Write them down, have them printed, have something. If you want to even have just another tab up with all of the formulas on it on your laptop, that would be completely fine. Just make sure when you're actually in that quiz, you're not closing out of the quiz tab, because then you technically get locked out, right? The other thing with the formula sheet is know what your variables stand for. So know what slant height is, know what the capital B means, know what the H stands for. Very simple things, but they are going to be on the quiz tomorrow, so I want to make sure you don't have any curveballs being thrown at you. But we've gone over very heavily what those actual variables mean and what they stand for. And lastly, just ask for help when you need it. This is the last time you are being quizzed for a majority of you. So I want to see your very best work. I want to see what you know, what you've picked up. I know this is very, very weird. Learning from a screen. I don't really typically enjoy it. I know you guys are not, so I'm taking that into consideration with these quizzes by now. So this quiz tomorrow, it's not meant to be very rough. It is meant to challenge you in a sense, but it's not meant to cause you any more type of stress or worry, okay? I don't want you to be stressing and worrying about geometry, okay? But that's why I didn't put a time limit on it, so you have that time to ask for help when you need it, okay? Some of you are doing very well with that, and you're asking help when you need it, and it's paying off, okay? So I think I'm done rambling and talking too much about this. Thursday and Friday, you're going to have one assignment to complete over the course of 2 days, so be looking forward to that. It is going to be very, very easy, and a little bit of, I think it's fun. You guys probably won't think it's fun because it is still math related, but just know that this is the last quiz that you're going to have to take, and after this, we'll just do some fun stuff, okay? I will talk to you later, guys, and let me know if you need any help.